All right, what's up, guys? Welcome. Drink a little smoothie here. How's everybody doing today? Got a good topic to talk about today. Hey, how's it going? Give me just a minute here. Got a pound of smoothie. Refuel. So, welcome everybody. I'm Johnathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can magnetize your ideal life. And today, I am going to be talking about evolved sex. All right, so we're gonna get into some juicy stuff today. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope everyone's having a good week, having a good day. Staying grounded in the transformative times that we're in, exciting times. So, evolved sex. What does this really mean? You know, as a species, we're quite evolved. Humans are very technologically involved. We're very socially evolved, but sexually, most of us are still functioning as animals sexually. We're bombarded with so much sexual stimulation. You know, we're also obsessed with sex, but our actual experience of sex is one that's very fleeting, right? It's often very short-lived. It's often over before it even really starts for a lot of people, you know, and because so many men, especially, they have such this strong sexual charge that's stuck in their genitals. They're unable to integrate it to the rest of their body. So when they get into sex, they're so focused on, you know, rushing into this point of an explosive ejaculatory orgasm, which is over in 10 seconds. You know, it's not even that enjoyable, you know, and afterwards you feel tired, you feel exhausted. You're basically just depleting yourself every time you do that, right? So this is kind of the model of sexuality for humans right now, for most people, right? And it's, you know, it's just not that fulfilling, and it's depleting you of your energy. So what I've experienced in my own life, what really led me to study Tantra, study Daoist sexology, study these ancient traditions, conscious sexuality, we could say, is I always had this feeling that there was something more to sex than just this physical, lustful connection, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that aspect of it, but I still felt like, you know, as I was beginning my spiritual path, I was studying yoga, I was studying meditation, I was working with the energy of my body, right? Studying these subtle energy practices, but it was still like, well, where does sex fit into this? You know, I'm still like getting on Pornhub every night and rubbing one out, and that just doesn't seem like a very evolved thing. I get the feeling it's just depleting my energy. And once I discovered, you know, sacred sexuality and how to actually do this stuff, right? How to actually work with the sexual energy and integrate it into, you know, my spiritual path, into my creativity and everything, my life completely transformed, you know, the energy I had available to me when I understood how important for man it is to regulate your ejaculation, not to just blow your load every time you feel aroused, but to hold that energy and transmute it and use it to fuel yourself. That becomes a massive energy source, and people need it. A lot of people are depleted, you know, addicted to porn, addicted to binge watching Netflix hours a day, drinking alcohol every night, you know, getting high every day. These are often signs that you're lacking something within yourself. You're trying to reach out to the outside world to fill yourself up because you're empty within. So for men, cultivating your sexual energy, I mean, for anyone, this is the path to increase your energy. But then when it comes to sexual connection, again, stepping into a conscious sexual connection, sex is a it's a sacred act. It can be either the most healing, the most nourishing and transformative experience you can have, or it can be the most destructive, the most addictive, the most depleting thing you can do. It's all about how are you doing it? What is your intention with it? What's your consciousness around sex? Is it this base primitive desire of I just need to hump something and, you know, have a genital sneeze? Or is it about connection? Is it about heart connection? Is it about love? Is it about spiritual connection, right? These are basically different, we could say different frequencies of sexual magnetism. Is love, is spiritual connection, right? So when you do the inner work, sexual kung fu is about opening up the energy channels of the body. Most people are very blocked in their energy flow. As we experience traumas, as we experience difficulties and stresses in life, we close down the flow of life force, and our sexual energy gets constricted to the genitals. We only experience it down here. So really part of the work in sexual kung fu and in a lot of different traditions is to reestablish this flow, this free flow of life force through the body. We start with a microcosmic orbit. It's the main pathway up the spine, down the body, down the front of the body. So you create a pathway to move the energy through. There's other pathways as well, but this gives you a new expression of your energy. You start to rewire your sexual connection to the rest of your body. Again, most men only experience an orgasm as an outward flow of energy. But when you do this work to open up the energy channels running upwards in the body, running through the body, then you can start to reestablish an upward flow of your sexual energy, which is important if you want to have a multidimensional experience of sex. If you want sex to be something more than just humping someone and depleting your energy. Sex can be a very, very healing, very transformative act for someone to experience, because when you connect with someone, it's one of the most intimate connections you can have, but you're generating this energy together. What's happening during sex? Two polarities are meeting and they're merging together. This creates a neutral force. Positive and negative connect, creates a neutral force, neutrality. It generates this very special energy. Sexual energy is very nourishing. It's almost like stem cells in the body. It can become whatever you need it to be. It can heal your body. It can heal your mind. It can bring you creativity, bring you spiritual fulfillment. The possibilities are endless. And so this is a very different approach when you enter into this conscious sexuality. The intention goes from, I just need to, hump someone and rush into an orgasm because I'm stressed. It turns from that into, I am cultivating myself. I'm cultivating my energy, and I have this strong charge of energy filled up and it's overflowing, and I want to share that with someone else. So when you come into connection with someone else who is on that level as you, they're cultivating their energy, they're doing their inner work, resolving their traumas, resolving their ancestral karma, things like that. And you connect with them consciously. It's an incredible experience. Instead of, again, just, unconsciously slamming away during sex, you're mindful. You're mindful about, where's my energy flowing? Oh, I'm getting aroused in my genitals. Let's bring it up in the body. You breathe it up because you have this open energy channel flow in your body. So you bring it up so that the orgasmic energy, it starts to move through your whole body. Move it into your heart. Breathe the sexual energy up into your heart, connecting with your heart space, opening your heart experience to love, to connection. Then you exchange that energy with them, and you're bonding on a very, very deep level. So you're connecting not just from your genitals, but from your heart, from your crown, your spiritual connection. You're connecting upward to the universe, and you're connecting down to the earth. You're connecting with your partner. You can consciously circulate this energy, guide it through the energy channels of your bodies. If there's an area of your body that needs healing, you can bring it into that area. This is a very beautiful and profound experience of sex. Again, it's different. And for men especially, it's important to release this addiction to ejaculation. Many men are addicted to ejaculating. They associate ejaculation with orgasm. That's their only experience of orgasm. But of course, men can experience many types of orgasm without ejaculating. And it can be much, much more pleasurable, overall much more enjoyable, because when you have non-ejaculatory sex and orgasms without ejaculating, you don't have that depletion of your energy. So you build a sexual charge and then you hold it. You store it in your body. You circulate it with your partner. You share it with your partner. And you feel charged up after an experience like that. You have this energy. You want to create something. You want to create art. You want to write a song, paint a picture, tell your partner how beautiful they are, how much you love them, things like that. It's quite a different experience than, blowing your load after 5 minutes of frantic thrusting and then rolling over and falling asleep, right? It's the opposite experience. It's an expansive. And I have to tell you, some of the orgasmic experiences you can have with this conscious sexual connection, to me, it's better than any experience I've had, we could talk about drugs, psychedelic experiences of, expanding into the universe, opening to higher consciousness. I've had experiences during sex, during full body orgasmic states that are, much better than any substance you could put in your body, because you get into that same state of expansion, of pulsation, of creating with something, connecting with something greater, it's absolutely incredible. So the evolved path of sex. So you might be wondering, where do I start? Start with working on yourself. Start having an internal practice, managing your energy, build your chi, clear the patterns that you have, the traumas, the limitations of your parents, your ancestors, your past. You have to clear these things first. Then you create a container to build upon. This is how I structure, my 6-week course. We go into depth into clearing traumas, clearing blockages, and then creating new patterns, opening energy channels, moving sexual energy through it. But a good place to begin is, again, having a daily practice where you're working with your internal energy. I have a Qigong playlist on my YouTube. It's a great place to start. But you have to get familiar with your normal non-aroused energy and how it moves through your body, and establish an open pathway of energy flowing through your body. And then you start working with your sexual energy, and you already have somewhere for it to go, other than out your genitals, right? So it's kind of the path of evolved sex. So I'm going to answer some questions. Before I do, a couple things I want to talk about really quick. I have a new online academy opening up very, very soon. It's called Immortal Energy Arts. This is for anyone who wants to really go into depth in pure energetic training, internal energy development, practices like Tai Chi, Qigong, Xingyi, meditation. Don't worry if you don't know what these is. Basically, these are very, very powerful practices to tangibly build chi flow throughout the body. I created this program because, it took me years and years and years of searching, of studying with many, many teachers, traveling the world to find, basically to separate the real stuff from the BS, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of practices people are teaching, kind of this new agey stuff where it's like, well, just imagine the energy flowing and see yourself. But it does, if you don't feel the energy tangibly in your body, then you're not really engaged. You're not really getting anywhere, right? So that's why I started this academy. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're on my email list by grabbing my free ejaculation control guide on YouTube. It's in my videos. On Instagram, it's in my profile, and you'll know when I release that. So, all right, let's answer some questions. Thanks everyone for joining me. Hope you guys are doing well out there. All right, what do you got for questions? Let's see. Okay, here's a good question. Can you suggest me a way to ground after Kundalini syndrome in addition to bringing the energy down to the lower dantian, or bringing the energy down to the lower dantian alone will be sufficient? Basically, how do you ground after Kundalini? If you're having the Kundalini syndrome, right? So first thing, this is a common expression people use, Kundalini syndrome. More often than not, this isn't actually a Kundalini experience. It's usually just an excess of yang chi in the body. The back channel, the governor channel, is the fire channel. If there's an imbalance of excessive yang chi, fire chi rising up the back and spine up into the head, then you start to have these kind of the psychosis. You may have hallucinations, kind of racing thoughts, anxiety, maybe like really, really expanded consciousness, but feeling very ungrounded with it. This is often simply a lack of grounding. Also, some blockages in the front channel, unable to bring that energy back down. So as you were talking about bringing the energy down to the lower dantian, I recommend working with grounding practices. Specifically, I have a practice on my YouTube channel. It's called Zhanzhuan. It's a standing meditation. This directly wires you into earth chi. You surrender down into earth energy. So look up my standing meditation video. Also follow my Qigong playlist. Those exercises will help you to ground this excess yang chi that you're experiencing if you're having that. I'm working with the dantian as well. My dantian building practice will help with that as well. Okay, not saying you're a medical expert or qualified to be, and I'm not saying I will take his medical advice. Nice disclaimer. But can internal arts help with cancer? From what you've seen or heard or experienced? Okay, so yeah, again, I have to disclaim, I'm not a medical doctor. There's no known cures for cancer officially, right? So I will say this. In China, very recently, they had entire hospitals where all they taught was energy practices, Qigong. They had Qigong clinics. If someone came in with a chronic illness, they would prescribe them to do Qigong, Tai Chi. And they had, I want to say, like an 80% success rate of treating chronic diseases, including, the C word with Qigong and other practices. So obviously there's many factors to it. When you're working with deep chronic diseases like this, there's a lot of factors, there's a lot going on there, but anything is possible. Yes, you can use internal energy practices to shift anything, right? So I guess that's my answer to that. All right. Feel free to send your questions in. Just answering some questions right now. I tried your last breathing technique of your latest video on how to last longer in bed. I tried to store the sexual energy in my stomach, but now my head aches very bad and I don't know what to do. I think you're talking about the power lock technique. This is common with this technique. It probably means you're using too much force. So use less force. Don't breathe so intensely, and definitely don't do any muscular squeezing when you hold the breath. Don't when you hold that inhale, don't fill your breath to the full capacity. Take like 50 to 60% of your full capacity on the inhale. Hold that, relax your mind, relax your body, and just gently feel the energy gently collecting in the lower dantian. So it's when you start using a lot of muscular engagement, flexing, clenching the pelvic floor muscle, that often causes the energy to just like shoot up into your brain, and it's uncomfortable. So basically use less force when you're doing that. Okay. Other energy art, Qigong. Okay. So I think when I was talking about immortal energy arts, you're asking about what I said I'd be teaching in that. I'm teaching Qigong, meditation, Tai Chi, Xingyi Chuan, which it sounds weird, I'm sure, if you haven't heard of it, but it's basically it's an energy cultivation practice that looks like karate or something. You're doing these like punching strikes, but you're doing them without any tension. It's a way to just generate crazy chi in your body. It makes your body feel radioactive from the energy it shoots through your body. It's crazy. I love it. I'm also going to teach Bagua, medical Qigong, all kinds of stuff in my Immortal Energy Arts Academy. So stay tuned for more information about that. So do you drink all sorts of healthy stuff? Yes. I eat healthy foods. I eat organic foods. I eat foods that are, in their natural form, not highly processed. It's very important if you want to, be healthy and be balanced. Got a nice smoothie here. Got some, what do we got? We got some protein. We got some blueberries, some almond butter, some raw honey. Two months ago, I experienced what you were talking about, the backwards channel. The energy reached shoulder blade level of my spine. I haven't experienced anything since. Advice, just keep working with it. It's kind of how it goes when you're working with internal energy. It's like you feel the energy here and there. Like one day you're practicing, you have a tangible energy experience, then you don't have it for a little while. It's just how it goes in the beginning. You have to keep working with it, keep building your chi. Eventually it becomes more consistent till like your whole body's lit up 24/7. But I would say work with the Dantian building practice on my YouTube channel. It's #1 exercise to build energy. That's what the video is called. And work with my most recent microcosmic orbit meditation practice. And you can follow the Qigong routines as well. That'll help you build your chi. And again, it's just a matter of training regularly, right? This is real. It's Kung Fu. It's discipline. It's skill. To develop your energy, you have to work every day. Basically. And it can be a bit of a slow progression, but it's always a progression. What would you tell me to stop watching porn today? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Like, what would I tell you to get you to stop watching porn? I'm not exactly sure what you meant by that. But all right, we'll talk about porn addiction for a moment here. When you watch porn, your dopamine levels skyrocket. Then you stop watching porn, they plummet. So you become a porn addict, because when you're not watching porn, you feel out of balance. It wreaks havoc on your brain chemistry. People who watch porn regularly, they develop a lot of the same behavior as drug addicts, because it is a drug. It affects your brain like a drug. Again, every time you watch a porn video, you get this huge release of dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is the reward chemical. So when you're watching video after video, bam, 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 you're getting all this dopamine released. Why is that a problem? Because it burns out your dopamine receptors. It fries them. Before long, you need like more and more intense porn, right? Kind of like a drug addict. You need more and more hits to feel the same way. Then you start needing it just to feel normal. It's exactly the same with porn. And so it really messes you up. That's just on a physical level. We could talk about energetically. It's where it gets really gnarly. We could talk about the astral sex beast that's, kind of behind the porn industry and human trafficking on the planet. It's literally absorbing people's sexual energy. It's eating it for lunch. It's like, you imagine how many people, we can assume right now that there's at least, maybe 100,000 people across the world masturbating to porn right now. That's a lot of sexual energy that's feeding this astral entity. And you get glued to that. You get, you're being fed off of that. So basically, I don't recommend watching porn. Why do women last longer in bed? Because they have infinite sexual power. Women aren't depleted by orgasms like men do. It's quite simple. Women have more sexual power because biologically they're wired to, because they birth children. They need to create babies in their body. So women have this naturally tremendous sexual power. Men can too, but they have to train themselves. Naturally, men are easily exhausted during sex. Oh, lost my connection there for a moment. Naturally, men are very easily exhausted during sex. So men have to really train themselves to develop sexual power. Okay. So just looking through some questions. What's this? I did 192 days of semen retention, relapsed, and have had small streaks since then, but can't seem to get past the 2-week mark. What do I need to start with as far as working with my energy? Well, if you're having trouble going longer periods of time, 2 weeks is way, way better than 99.9% of other men. So, not a huge deal. But if you want to go longer than that, you've got to work with your sexual energy. Work with the microcosmic orbit. Work with the testicle breathing practice, moving the sexual energy throughout your body. You have to keep it flowing. You have to keep your sexual energy moving. You have to constantly be putting it into creativity, to productivity, moving it through your body, or else it gets stuck and it wants to go somewhere and you'll just release it in an ejaculation. I've experienced my energy go down just by looking at porn without any stimulation, any thoughts. Again, we could talk about looking at porn depletes you. It doesn't matter if you're masturbating or not. When you're in that state, you're connecting with that. There's this weird false heat it creates in your body, and you're sending your energy to it on some level. Okay, thank you for your video. I have a question about transmutation of energy. I want to have a lot of energy for working, but which part of the body should I transmute the sex energy to? Good question. I recommend running it through the orbit. So you move it through the orbit, working with the microcosmic orbit practice, so you can, loop it throughout the body. Eventually, store it in the lower dantian, the belly space. It's your energetic battery, right? That's where you want to bring large amounts of energy to safely be stored as your lower dantian. Okay, when building the dantian, so this is a technical question about a practice I teach on YouTube. When building the dantian, how do I squeeze the pelvic floor? I've been pushing as if trying to pee, but I think that's wrong. Yeah, it's not. That's reverse Kegel. When you're pushing like you're trying to pee, that's reverse Kegel. That's not what we're using for the practice. With the dantian building practice, this is actually optional, but it can't help in the beginning. You're squeezing. So if you're peeing, you're trying to hold it in. So if you can stop your urine stream, while you're urinating, that's the muscular engagement that we're using. It's a Kegel type of motion. Gentle squeezing, very gentle. You don't want to squeeze really hard, but that's basically it. What to do when overloaded with sexual energy, perhaps release? Well, it's one thing to do with it, but it's more productive to put it into something else. Go do an intense workout, create some art, create something with it. Learn a musical instrument, learn to paint, whatever. Have something that you're putting that energy into. Do internal energy practices to move it through your body and transmute it. So what about masturbation with oneself without open? Is that still feeding the astral plane beasts? No, when you're connecting with yourself, it's different. It's when you're connecting with porn, because you're connecting with this image that has all this nasty energy behind it that's wired into that whole system, that sort of matrix, right? So that's where you're connecting with porn, because that's where your awareness is going. That's where your energy is going. You're being sucked into that. When you're connecting with yourself, it's not the same, unless you're like thinking about that porn, right? Like really, really focusing on that. But no, when it's self-cultivation, you're focused on yourself, sending yourself self-love. If you're with a partner, you're sending it to them. So it's all about the chi goes, or where the mind goes, the chi flows. Whatever you're focused on, that's where you're sending your energy. So it's important to understand. Playing video games can transmute energy. I wouldn't necessarily say that, no. What about eliminating the refractory period? Well, it's mostly impossible to completely eliminate it, but you can greatly reduce it. When you do sexual kung fu practices, you learn how to draw basically the essence of the semen throughout your body and pull it up. So when you're having sex, you're pulling up all this energy out of your semen. If you ejaculate after that, you lose way less energy because you've captured it. This has been my experience. Once I started doing sexual kung fu, I started to become less and less depleted by occasional ejaculations whenever it did happen. So when you're doing sexual kung fu, if you do occasionally ejaculate, it's not such an issue, because how you're cultivating the essence of that semen and storing it in your body. So you don't have the same exact refractory period, basically. Okay, the power lock video I recently posted, is it the same one from Daoist Secrets of Love? No, this is different. This is an updated version. It's similar to a version I learned from one of my teachers, Lauren Johnson, but I created some changes to it myself. Most of the healing Dao stuff is a bit too, the sexual practices, specifically the Montauk Chia stuff, it's very tension-based. It's too fiery for me. I found it too forceful, and I have more of a relaxation approach that's working a lot better for me. So that's what I'm teaching now. So it's different than what's in the book. The practice in the book is squeeze every muscle in your body and pull it up to your brain, which is very forceful, and it gave me headaches. I did make a video on that. It was one of my first videos on my YouTube channel, but yeah. Have I experienced expanded consciousness in the context of sex and orgasm? Yeah, so earlier on this video, I was talking about how during sex, when I get into full body orgasm states, it's beyond any it's like a psychedelic experience. Again, time and space are altered. It's sometimes my consciousness just explodes past my body. I've had experiences where I was feeling in resonance, with the sun, the moon, the universe, the overall sexual connection of everything. And I've had some very, very mystical states during full body orgasm. So definitely. Okay, staying hard after ejaculating. It's possible basically if you can minimize the release of prolactin in your body. This is one of the issues of what happens when a man ejaculates. There's hormonal changes. Prolactin is released into the bloodstream, which inhibits your testosterone, which is also one of the reasons you can't get erect after having sex. So you can basically, if you're eating, I'm actually posting a video soon on how to recover from ejaculation, but basically rebuilding, having a very healthy diet, taking gene building herbs and foods, and having good hormonal balance, you will be able to recover from ejaculations much quicker. Does Jianzhuang clear energetic blockages, and is it normal to feel your crown chakra buzzing when doing it? Yes, Jianzhuang can. So again, some people are like, what is this guy saying? Jianzhuang it's a Qigong practice. It's basically standing meditation. You stand, you hold these energizing postures for periods of times, and you relax and you surrender to gravity. You release tension from the body, and it starts to clear blockages from the body. It starts to establish a clear flow of energy through the body. It grounds your energy. So basically, yes, Jianzhuang can clear energetic blockages, crown chakra buzzing, all kinds of sensations will come up. Had a big wet dream last night. I'm really sad. Don't worry about it. It'll come back. What type of meditation should I practice to prevent wet dreams? Stillness meditation, where you're kind of anchoring your mind down into your lower dantian, helps to kind of settle the gene, as they call it. Often our sexual energy and our gene is trying to get out of us. If you have a lot of sexual arousal and things like that. So that's one way. But microcosmic orbit's great as well, because it programs, even if there is rising energy, it programs it to move up the back of the body, but then come back down the front. So to recycle through the body instead of ejecting outward. So microcosmic orbit and stillness, settling down into the lower dantian space. I've been doing practice that's fiery. My throat and heart chakra are blocked. Care to comment or elaborate in the context of the orbital energy technique? So front channel blockage is super common for men. Grounding is going to help this, but check out my microcosmic orbit meditation on YouTube. I have guided practice of this that'll help to kind of clear up these pathways. Is it true that constant cold showers cause your penis to look shriveled, and does it reduce size? Well, it'll look shriveled during the cold shower probably, but not permanently. I've been taking cold showers for years, and I didn't have at least any penis shrinkage that lasted beyond the cold shower. But it actually, the studies showing that cold water exposure boosts your testosterone levels. If you're worried about it, just soak your penis in warm water afterwards. I'm circulating the energy and safely storing it in my lower dantian, ejaculating once every 10 days, but I still feel overheated, anxiety, hyperactivity, and ungrounded. You need more grounding. Jianzhuang, standing meditation, this is really important for you. So in my course, my 6-week course, I have a whole week of just grounding practices, because that's essential. If you're doing semen retention, if you're doing, non-ejaculatory sex, you're building up tremendous, semen energy. It's very powerful. And if you're unable to ground it, then there's a tendency for it to rise up. And yeah, you get those symptoms of rising qi in the body, which is, anxiety, feeling overheated, hyperactive mind, insomnia, things like that. So grounding is essential. My girl wants to suck out my life force. She keeps trying to seduce me. How do I stay strong? Well, it's not necessarily a problem unless, you learn to control your ejaculation. It's not a big deal, because she can seduce you and you can have sex, whatever you want, but you can control your ejaculation. So training ejaculation control, basically, and it's not an issue. The Secret of the Golden Flower talks about forming a light body, immortal body from internal alchemy. Do you know much about this? Is it real? All right, here's some good stuff. We're gonna get into some some out there stuff. So Daoist internal alchemy, yes, this is something I've been studying for several years and practicing every day. The concept of this basically is, they talk about the elixir, the pearl, basically the elixir, Dantian, which is the energy space in the lower belly. This is the space of the elixir field. So the goal of Daoist internal alchemy, or Neidan as it's known, is to form the elixir. The elixir is, it's an alchemical agent formed by, years of vigorous meditation. But basically, you are collecting the essence of, the body, the organs, the essence of all of your life's experiences. You're harmonizing them and developing this energetic vessel that you start to identify with. Your personality starts to identify with it, so that the idea is that this will survive the death process, because we're all going to die. Our body's going to disintegrate, and if we haven't learned to sort of integrate ourselves, then our personality may disintegrate as well, which isn't necessarily a problem. But if you want to be able to create, beyond death, it's kind of like being able to go into dreams in a lucid state. Then that's kind of the goal of internal alchemy, is to form this immortal body. The Daoist idea of immortality is not physical immortality where you physically live forever. It's one of spiritual immortality, where you're able to keep creating in the energetic planes, right? Now, is this true or not? I don't know. I haven't died. I can't say, but this is kind of the theory, and I practice the exercise. How often do I recommend a man should ejaculate? Depends on your age, depends on your health, your lifestyle. If you're not doing any, so if you're doing semen retention, but you're not doing energetic practices, then your energy is going to get stagnant. So, ejaculating once a week, every 2 weeks isn't a big deal. It really comes down to, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you doing? Are you circulating your sexual energy? For most guys, really long-term semen retention isn't a good idea, because you start to develop the stagnance, and testosterone actually starts to lower. It's like the endocrine system can kind of atrophy a bit if you go like a year without ejaculating. So I personally prefer not to go that long-term with it. But overall, if you're in your 20s, you could easily ejaculate once a week if you wanted to. If you're in your 30s, even once a week, once every 2 weeks. When you get into your 40s and 50s, I would go 2 weeks to a month. It really depends. I encourage you to experiment. Basically, if you feel exhausted and fatigued and really low the day after ejaculating, then you should go for longer. Do you think the human race could ever reach a point where we live off just sunlight and energy without having to eat food? Because legends say human used to live off nothing but energy long ago. Yeah, I mean, there's people on the planet who become breatharian, but it's not very conducive to the lifestyle we live, I will say, because when you're breatharian, physically, you become a bit frail. Personally, I enjoy eating food. It's very grounding for me, and I have no desire to become breatharian. Maybe if I was living in a cave or something like that, but living in society, it's not very practical. Food's very social. It's very creative, creating meals. So I don't know. It's definitely possible, but I enjoy eating food personally. You've mentioned sexual energy. Are you aware of some other types of energy that may be similar to control or manipulate? Yeah, there's many types of energy. There's the energy of the organs, the organ energy, just the subtle energy. There's Jing Qi Shen, spiritual energy. There's many types of energy that, I'm cultivating all simultaneously in my practice. What are the best times of day for sex? Whenever you feel like you have the time to really get into a nice space with it, so you don't feel rushed. You don't want to do it when you're super tired, but you don't want to do it when you're overstimulated. If you're stressed out, you want to have some time to kind of get into the mood, right? So whenever you have time to really get into the space, create kind of a sacred space to indulge in sexual connection. What am I drinking? I'm drinking a smoothie. It's what do I have in here? Got some protein, some almond butter, banana, blueberries, some raw honey, some almond butter, maybe some chia seeds, I think. Briefly, what does my complete daily practice consist of? I I get up in the morning, take a cold shower, and I do my Qigong practice first. So do some warm-up exercises, and then I do standing meditation, Zhuan practice for about 30 minutes, different postures. And then I do either a 20-minute Qigong flow, or I practice my Tai Chi, or I'll do my Xingyi practice for 20, 30 minutes. Then I do about an hour of meditation. So that's my morning practice. Then I go about my day. In the evening, I do another 30 minutes to an hour of, right now in the evenings, I'm usually practicing Tai Chi, Xingyi, or Bagua, which are just internal energy cultivation practices. We could say they're advanced forms of Qigong. So that's my daily practice. Tumo breathwork circulates the sexual energy in the body. It can, if you know how to work with it. Basically, you have to use you have to activate the energy basically to move it through the body with certain engagements. But it can be used for that, definitely. What is the best practice to train oneself to prevent ejaculation while being single? I'm trying to do semen retention. I'm 31 and can stay with it for about 42 days. Basically, you must practice just self-stimulation with awareness of the breath. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of practices you can use. That's what I teach in my course is exactly how to do this. But basically, something you can start with is self-stimulating yourself, but not just like, really aggressively, like, and unconsciously, like most guys do, just death grip, go into town on it. Start very slowly, very aware, get your whole body involved. Focus on your breath and relaxing your body so that the arousal builds more slowly. One of the problems is that men tend to build their arousal really quickly. Like they go from 1 to 10 in like 30 seconds, and then they get in that pattern. So that's what happens during sex, and you have premature ejaculation. So really, really slowly stimulating yourself while breathing deeply, relaxing your whole body. Make some sounds, release some moaning type sounds, helps to move energy through your body. So that's a simple thing you can start. But basically, you have to train. You have to train yourself. It's a lot easier to do it by yourself than with a partner, basically. What are the best kind of temperatures the place should be at when making love? Because it's been said that too hot temperatures can hinder sexual performance. It depends, whatever you're comfortable with. If you tend to be cold, then have a bit more heat. If you tend to get hot really easily, then have it a bit cooler. It's just personal preference. Do I think there's a productive use of pornography, or is it always destructive? In general, I don't find pornography to be helpful personally, because when I was trying to quit porn, I would be like, well, I'm going to watch conscious porn, right? But it was exactly the same for me. It was the exact same reaction in my mind, my body. It was very uncomfortable and depleting to me, basically. I mean, I can see kind of maybe like sexual art just to kind of inspire some sexual feelings, like, oh, I want to, explore this with my partner now. But porn just tends to be extremely overstimulating, just like pull you right out of your body. For me, anyway, that's how it is. Maybe you could explore this yourself, but for me, I never found any productive use for pornography. All the meditative practices, yoga, qigong, what are the best times to align with the universe? Is it early morning or evening? Whenever you have the time, the space to really sink in deep into your practice. Traditionally they say that sunrise and sunset are the best time because it's balanced yin and yang. But I will say that I don't like to practice around noon. I would say between like 11 p.m. and 1 p.m., even 2 p.m., because there's this really strong yang energy. There's a lot of like psychic disturbance during that time of day. People are busy, people are on lunch break, they're stressed out, whatever. So there's just kind of this like psychic noise in the field. But other than that, I do my practice early in the morning. I also do some in the evening. So, you have to experiment with yourself. But whenever you have the time, the space to like go deep into a practice, which is precious in our busy lives now, really. Legend has it that you're like 300 years old because of semen retention. Is that true? Yes, I'm 350 years old. No, I'm actually 31, but maybe I'll live to be 300. Who knows? Thoughts on conscious softcore pornography during self-cultivation practice? I mean, I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, why do you feel that you need that? If you do you feel unable to connect with your own body? And it's the thing is, like with pornography, it becomes so stimulating that it pulls your attention away from your body. I tried, when I was learning sexual kung fu, I was like, well, maybe I could use porn as like a stimulating thing and then get into the practice. But I couldn't connect to my body when I was watching porn. It just, again, it pulls my energy up into my head, into my brain. It's like this false yang rising heat. And it just gave me headaches, honestly. But I mean, you can try it. If you feel like you're able to watch softcore conscious pornography and be connected with your body and have a balanced sexual cultivation, then that's great. Yes, I'm a natural blonde. It's my natural hair color. Can you personally feel the universe's energy? Is that something you have become sensitive to by your energy management practice? Yes, I feel the qi very, very tangibly. I do my qigong, and it's like an electrical current, almost like hydraulic energy. It's very thick and it fills the body. Sometimes it's hot. It's very tangible. You just have to learn how to do it. If you follow my qigong playlist, you'll start feeling it very quickly. But yeah, it's something you have to cultivate with your practice. You practice, you develop your sensitivity, you open the channels, you build the qi, and you feel it. It's very tangible. Do you build dantian every morning or just qigong? Usually my meditation practice, which is about an hour in the morning, I do some dantian practices. Because there's kind of sequences of training, like you build the dantian, but then you move on to other practices which do involve the dantian, but it's kind of how the neigong, internal energy arts goes, which I'll be teaching in my new online academy, Immortal Energy Arts. Should I focus solely on building dantian as a beginner or qigong also? You should do both if you can. It's great to start with the dantian, but it's good to do some qigong as well, because you're kind of getting the qi flowing through your body. But if you're only going to do one, then yes, I would start with the dantian, then add in qigong, but I encourage you to do both. What do you mean by self-stimulate, like masturbation, like edging? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Masturbation, edging, whatever you want to call it. How often should I practice edging? You can work with it every day if you want, if that feels balanced for you. Does 5G affect the energy? Well, there's a lot of studies showing that. I remember I watched a documentary on how 4G frequencies, there's a very common thing is women who are pregnant and sleeping in rooms very close to smart meters, their child would have birth defects because of the radiation. And that was 4G, right? 5G is up to 100 times, maybe it's 1,000 times more radiation than 4G. So it's definitely good to be, conscious of if 5G is near you. If there's a 5G tower, it's popping up all over the place. You can't protect yourself from it. Be aware of it. See what you can do to protect yourself from the 5G that's rolling out. I will say though that when you start cultivating your qi, start working the microcosmic orbit, you start to have a barrier to these external toxic factors, we could say. I have a friend who had severe EMF poisoning. Basically, it was destroying his immune system. He started doing qigong, and it no longer became an issue for him. So cultivate your qi. Please sign me up to your academy, take my money. Yeah, so I'm opening up registration to Immortal Energy Arts in the next week or so. I'm just finalizing a few things. You can send me an email and I can get you in the early group if you really want. But yeah, I'll be posting more about that very soon. Do you indulge in the female attraction or transmute it? Well, I have a partner who I'm with in a relationship, so I indulge with her. Do you recommend solo cultivation even for married guys? It's good as a training tool. I always teach my students to, I recommend that you learn the practices on your own first, because it's a lot more difficult to learn this stuff in the context of your relationship, your sexual relationship. When you're training by yourself, there's no pressure from your partner. You can just play with it and see how it affects your body. So you're kind of developing your skill behind the scenes. Then you can bring it into the bedroom. It's kind of like being in a band, right? Playing music, practicing scales on a guitar or something like that. You don't go to a band practice and say, hey guys, I'm practicing my scales. No, you want to be like developed, then you jam with the band. Same thing in a relationship. You don't want to bring in the sense of, hey, I'm learning this technique. I mean, unless they're open to it, but overall you want to like cultivate it, develop your skill on your own, then you bring it in and make some music with her, right? So that's the approach I recommend. Do condoms fuck up the flow? Very minimally. It's worth, the benefits of condoms, protection from STDs, protection from pregnancy. My partner and I use condoms when she's near her ovulation period, just as extra protection. It's not, there's a minor kind of lessening of the energy exchange, but it's not that relevant. Again, the benefits outweigh the cons of using condoms, I would say. Women's bodies are in tune with the moon. Hence, what are times based on your observation they are most receptive? My experience is late afternoons seem optimal when their energies are most receptive. I think it depends on your partner, definitely, but receptive to sex, it depends on their period or the cycle that they're in as well. Typically, or near the ovulation, they're a lot more interested in sexual exchange. But as far as time of day, it's probably going to vary by your partner, their lifestyle, their stresses. But morning is often a great time because you're fresh, or nighttime as well before you go to sleep if you're not too tired. Vegan, healthy, non-chemical condoms. I use a company called, what's it called? Glide, Glyde, non-toxic lubrication. Lubricant condoms. You can also get like latex-free condoms as well. No, I'm not a doctor. I'm a sexual kung fu instructor. Where does one find your Qigong following? Is there a beginner's learning video for Qigong you could recommend? I'm teaching Qigong as part of sexual kung fu. I have a Qigong playlist here on YouTube, which is great for beginners. So I recommend you start with that. When you master full body orgasm, can you have full body orgasms with any woman? Because it said some people's sexual energy are more fiery than others. I mean, there's a lot of factors to this. It's really, I would say what really affects if you're going to be able to get into that deep full body orgasm state with a partner or not is how much you feel connected to them. There's definitely a sense of you have to be able to be in a bit of a vulnerable state to have the full body orgasm, which men often have a hard time with. So if you're with someone you trust, someone you have feelings for, then you're much more likely to get into these full body orgasm states than if you're just, having casual sex with some stranger. It's going to be more of a genital limited experience probably. I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with either of them. It's, whatever, just, that's how it's been for me. What are some of the books and materials that are most significant for your sexual energy kung fu training? Montauk Chia has some great books. I would say that stuff was just the tip of the iceberg for me. Montauk Chia's book, Stephen Chang has a great book, Daoist Sexology. But again, the books, they're really just the tip of the iceberg. Like you get some theoretical information, but studying with the teachers is really where it's at. Is there anything new in the new course? If you're talking about Immortal Energy Arts, everything's new. Everything's completely different than what I've taught in, Multi-Orgasmic Man and my other courses. It's actually an almost completely different system because I'm always learning new things. I'm always developing my practices, finding new teachers to study with, to upgrade my skills. And that's what Immortal Energy Arts is. It's the next upgrade in my practice, which I'm sharing with everyone. The Stephen Chang book is Tao of Sexology. And I don't think it's printed anymore, but you can probably find a PDF of it pretty easily online. How long did it take you to reach the level of instructor with sexual kung fu? Well, on the technical level, in the system I was studying in, it took, you'd say 2 or 3 years of training with them before I got my official certification. And then I started my YouTube channel a few months after that, I would say. Would you be down to come visit the Face House? What's the Face House? Tell me more. Have you tried Kareza, non-ejaculatory sex with your partner? Yes, I pretty much exclusively have non-ejaculatory sex. I talk about this all the time. And I pervert to ejaculatory sex because you have all your energy afterwards. You have more energy. Does Immortal Energy Arts deal with semen retention and sexual kung fu as well? No, this is a different, it's a different system. It's all just general energy cultivation. There's no directly sexual practices in Immortal Energy Arts. That's what multi-orgasmic man is for. But I will say that Immortal Energy Arts practices will take your sexual cultivation to the next level, because these things are all connected. Your skill in working with just general internal energy becomes your skill working with sexual energy. What physical exercise do I recommend to complement internal energy practices? Good question. Yoga, definitely. Physical exercise, weightlifting is great. Stretching, yoga is awesome. Yeah, cardio. I like to ride my bike around, things like that. So that's what I recommend. When this COVID thing is over, you should hold a seminar. Yeah, I'm actually planning on doing a retreat in March, maybe April, March, April, or May, around the Asheville area of next year. So putting that out there. Teaching with a good friend of mine who teaches Daoist internal alchemy. Any specific lifts you focus on? I do body splits, so I usually do a 3-day split. That's how many days I can spend at the gym right now. So generally I do chest, triceps, and shoulders one day. Then I do back and biceps one day. And then the third day I do legs, lower body. I do abs each day and some cardio as well. I'm also changing up right now. I'm doing kind of a push-pull split, and then, chest and back split. And then arms, triceps, biceps, and then shoulder day, and then leg day. So that's what I'm working on. Yeah, I like weightlifting. It's very grounding for me. I do all this energy work, like hours a day, and I'm just like, exploding. And weightlifting helps me kind of keep it in here. What's the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong? Good question. I would say that, if you look, the definition of Qigong is basically energy work. Qi it's the subtle life force. Gong is a skill, or it's a discipline in working with something, like Kung Fu, Gong Fu. It's a skill attained over a period of time working with it. So Qigong is the skill of cultivating Qi. Tai Chi it's a little more elusive, I would say personally that Tai Chi is basically an advanced form of Qigong. There's a lot of different, you'll hear teachers say different things about what Tai Chi is. Some say it's a martial art. You might think of old people in the park, doing kind of a dance in slow motion. But the essence of Tai Chi is really how to connect your body with Qi flow in every movement you do. It's what it's really about. And I've been studying it for many years. And it took me 2 or 3 years to find a teacher who was actually teaching internal Tai Chi, because like 90% of it's just a physical, just moving physical postures, but there's certain internal mechanics. So Tai Chi is incredible. It's very advanced, but it's absolutely incredible. Like the Qi that it moves through your body it's better than the feeling of any drug or something like that, right? It's basically like having a full body orgasm. When I'm doing Qigong, Tai Chi, Xingyi, Bagua, it's just like energy pulsing through my body very tangibly, and it feels amazing. That's what I'm teaching in Immortal Energy Arts. Do you think MDMA connects you to Qi? I'm sure in some level, but the thing is it pulls your adrenals. You're pulling all of your energy reserves, pulling all your dopamine, pulling all your adrenaline into a few hours of experience. And then it puts you into depletion, Be careful with drugs, especially synthetic things like MDMA. They can cause some, serious issues to your chemistry. Basically, you can get high without drugs. That's why I love doing Qigong, doing meditation. So I get high without drugs. So I'm sure it connects you to Qi on some way, but not really in a balanced way, I guess is the summary of my answer. All right, guys, I'm going to do just a few more questions here. We're almost an hour in now. Do you know if push-ups, pull-ups, and running are good for building testosterone, and do you do them? Push-ups are great. Any strength building in general can boost your testosterone. Running, you have to be kind of careful with. I've heard that if you're running too much, it can release a lot of cortisol in the body and lower testosterone. So for cardio, I like to do elliptical machine or ride my bike. I don't like running very much because it's really hard on my ankles and my knees. Does your diet or nutrition have any effect on your chi and whether or not you can feel it? Definitely. You are what you put in your body, right? If you eat garbage foods, if you're eating foods that have been sitting in a bag on the shelf, processed, devoid of all nutrition, you're not getting any life force to the foods. So when you eat foods that are more naturally derived from their original state, organic, free of pesticides, free of chemicals, then you're going to have a lot more energy. Did you ever consider full celibacy? Why a partner? Celibacy is not for me right now. Celibacy is not something that should be forced into. I have a lot of sexual desire and I enjoy having a partner in my life. It's a very nice path for me that I'm exploring. So that's what I enjoy the most right now. How long should a man be able to last in bed? On your experience and studies, and what is your perspective on a regular timing for partnered and single? So really, a man should be able, I will say the potential is there for men to be able to last as long as they want. This is what I was able to cultivate in my practice, is being able to last as long as I want during sex. Obviously, I have to be mindful of my arousal level. I have to keep it under management, but with practice, you get pretty good at that. So when you master the stuff, basically, in general, you'll be able to last as long as you want. But I would say being able to last a minimum of 30 minutes is a good goal to go for, and then build from there. I'm not sure what you mean about regular timing for partnered and single. Have you ever lived near the ocean or experienced the healing power of the ocean? Yeah, I lived in Maui for several months. A couple different times I lived in Hawaii on the ocean. I spent 4 months in Australia last year. I spent a couple months in Bali. So yeah, I spent a lot of time near the ocean. I love the ocean, but I kind of like the mountains more personally. I like the forests. I like the trees and the higher elevation. Protein shakes and energy foods. What do you recommend? Some superfoods. Maca root is awesome. Put maca in your smoothie. As far as protein, I'm doing a mix of different proteins. It's I believe it's pea protein, quinoa protein, and cranberry protein. It's from a company called Arbonne. That's been my favorite. And energy foods. Almonds. I love almonds. Healthy fats, chia seeds, avocados, coconut oil. Hemp seed oil. Hemp seeds are great. Goji berries. There's some great energizing foods. Moringa leaf, because it's like nature's multivitamin. Is your girlfriend single? Well, she's my girlfriend, so she's not single. Do you think sexual kung fu in nature would ground you more and give you more benefits? If you're doing it in comfortable weather, if you're out, in the freezing cold and like a heavy wind, then you're actually going to lose energy by trying to practice in nature. So, but in general, it's really nice to practice outdoors, but don't think that you have to gain energy, Where do I shop for food? There's a few stores local here. There's a co-op. It's a local co-op. They have a lot of, local produce and things like that. I like to go there. A couple other stores as well. There's a Whole Foods here, but Whole Foods is, it's owned by Amazon now. It's a corporate giant, and I think like 80% of their food at Whole Foods is GMO. So I don't shop there except when I need to. I don't mean to sound crude, but are you able to fuck hard, or is it mostly soft, more gentle? No, it can definitely go hard. That's the thing, is like developing ejaculation control. It wouldn't be any fun if you had to just like be extremely slow all the time. No, it's like when you develop the skill, you can go at it like, a stallion and control your ejaculation. But for me, it's like, I enjoy the alternation between, really intense thrusting and then like very, very soft, slow, even like completely still, just meditating together. So it's about dynamics, being able to do it all together. But yeah, when you develop your skill with ejaculation control, by doing sexual kung fu, you can definitely, go at it really hard if you want and stay in control. Have you ever experienced astral projection? I heard that internal energy work makes it very easy. I have. I used to be way into this, but it was becoming a bit ungrounding for me. So I stopped, astral projection, lucid dreaming. I used to be way into that stuff. Do you know materials that show a map of the natural energy flow of the body or various philosophies you found to be most accurate to that? Yeah, I mean, look up a Chinese medicine meridian map. They have it all mapped out. Those guys are on it. The Chinese are very, 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 very deep consciousness in the body and subtle energy and things like that. A lot of history in China, a lot of deep development. It's like a lot of the Indian stuff. I will say the difference between, let's say, the Chinese approach and kind of the Indian yoga approach is the Indian stuff is it's often a bit more like, got to get out of the body, got to transcend and get back to heaven. But the Chinese, kind of the Qigong, the Daoist philosophy is like, heaven is here. And we need to embody ourselves here and balance heaven and earth so we can, create heaven on earth. And that's kind of a generalization. I'm trying to slam anyone's path, but just a little, subtlety there. Would you recommend working with Jude Trapney as a beginner? I've considered working with him after seeing your last few videos. So yeah, I did a series with one of my Tai Chi teachers, Jude Trapney. He's an awesome guy. You could definitely work with him as a beginner. He's definitely. He's highly skilled, and he'll get you started for sure if you're interested in that. What are your thoughts combining sexual kung fu and Jelqing exercises together? I used to do this. I used to use Jelqing exercises. I've actually stopped using Jelqing. I found something superior with someone else is asking about Angion method, which is much, much better than Jelqing. It's more safe and promotes blood vessel growth. Jelqing can be a bit forceful and is forcing blood flow in the wrong way through your penis. So look up Angion method and you'll see that. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. I'm going to jump off. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. Cultivate your chi, stay in the flow, stay grounded. The world's in kind of a dark night of the soul right now. We're going through some serious shit's being brought up. It's really ugly for a lot of people. There's a lot of hatred, a lot of conflict, but know that there's an agenda behind a lot of things. And if you stay in your heart, stay in your body, stay grounded, turn off the news and just what's around you right now in this moment. It's exciting times ahead. So take care, my friends. Keep it real.